kids, welcome back to Roto Talk.
Kids, welcome back to chapter, I believe, 6.5. And it's 6.5 because my dumb ass forgot to put in the anti-stumbles on the last video. I think that's what they're called. Anti-stumble, anti-fail, anti-slide, anti-something. But I think they're called anti-stumbles. Don't quote me on that. So what we're going to do, very, very simple. A couple ways to do this. Okay? You've got 4 pieces. Very, very simple. You've got this bit that's going to curve like that. Let's see. Got some Ray Charles on today. All right. There we go. There's the devil, just like that. And then we're going to put this in like this. I'm just mocking this up so y'all can see it. Hopefully my editing self has zoomed in. Something like that, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, because I've been down this road before with stuff, is we're going to sand a bevel. So this is the front, this is the back. We're going to sand a bevel on this. Not much. Don't get fancy with it. You gotta be no fancy with it. And just see what you're... Yeah. Do that. Same principle here. Now, I do notice that one side, the tabs are wider than the other sides. The wide tabs, I believe, would go into the sponsons. So, that's good to be cognitive of, as Freud would say. Okay, so now we're going to sand that one down. Okay. Simple. Nothing fancy, I don't need no machinery for that. Okay? So what we're going to do is make sure this is 90 set. I did get my new CA glue in. 90 degrees, happy days. But before we do that, and I got some more activator. Okay. Now, for this little stuff, I usually use a metal block. Which I can't find right. Ah, there it is. Okay. It's a little easier. Make sure there's no schmutz. In my shop, there's schmutz on everything. I promise. Pig pen in here, especially winter time. It's just like... So I'm going to do this. Okay, make sure you're seated all the way down. Woo! Come out with a vengeance on that. Okay. Yes, I'm CAing it. And what we're going to do is we're going to just put some CA on the tabs, slide that piggy in there, and then we're going to take 30-minute or 10, whatever you want to do, epoxy. Perfect. Okay. Easy peasy. Okay. Now, that's going to fit real sharp, real nice. But with that curve, we're going to take off the front edges, I think, a little bit. Just so I don't have to weeble wobble it in. So, it's alright. It ain't the space shuttle. Trust me. They're tabs, dude. It ain't Tupperware holding the kidney for transport. Okay? Just like that. So, now what we can do, a little bit of CA. Now, wear a glove. This is just what I'm doing. I'm going to spray the whole thing. Pre-spray. This is just to hold it. Okay. It's all going to be puttied up anyway. even, since we got to sand it, I'm going to put a little bit of a line right there because I want this to be nice and flush. Okay. Look at that. Pretty. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to mix up some 30-minute epoxy, 50-50, or 10, doesn't matter. Thin it out if you need to. And then we're going to do that number. Now, what I'm going to do is this. Okay. And we'll be able to seal. You have to seal the inside. So not only do we want to glue it to make sure that it's adhered, okay, I want that sealed because water is going to get in there. We don't want that rotten out. Okay, so we're going to take some 30 or 10-minute epoxy. I would thin it down so it really absorbs into the wood. There are some schools of thought that I've heard people say, you know, oh, I soaked too much into the wood, blah, 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 blah. The whole point of 30-minute epoxy, now please leave a message if you disagree with this, but the whole point of 30-minute epoxy is so that it absorbs, it takes that extra time to absorb into the wood, which is the whole point. So if you thicken 30-minute epoxy, it kind of defeats the purpose. So if you're going to thicken 30-minute epoxy, you might as well use 5-minute epoxy, but whatever. You know, I'm going to use 10. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. Now, another way you can do this is before you put this in, you can seal it with epoxy and then put it in. But you still want to put some schmutz down at the corner. You want that nose to be solidified. But we're going to be putting all this up so we don't see this Jack nastiness right there. So,
is the hangman dead then? Out with it then, Jack Nasty Face. Is it that your mother's turned into an honest woman?
that is it. I apologize for missing this bit. It is beautiful out today, but we're supposed to get some winter storm Friday and Saturday. So if I can, we're going to do another video of doing some filler on this and sanding it out. Right, here we go. I decided to mix these two videos together because the other one's too short. Whatever. So what we're going to do, this is going to be our basic sanding puttying video. All right. So I'm going to show you how to make a tool. Okay. Just using a blade here, and we're going to cut this razor blade. Check it out. Okay. Now, the reason I did that is I don't know if you guys can see this or not. I'll zoom in. But you can see I got an epoxy swell there. Okay? This is much easier to do than using a sander. Okay? Now, I'm going to have to cut off both ends because it's still too wide. Now, I did it so we can have a nice scraping surface. So let's, I'll just skip this part. I'll edit this out. I like all the Nancys that would probably be like, oh, you're going to catch yourself on fire doing that on a towel. Yeah, so that's why we have fire extinguishers everywhere. All right, so we're just going to scrape along that surface. Now, you see that? See that comes off? It's like a plane, but it gets right in that corner. Let me tell you, this will take off more epoxy and save you so much time from sanding. You have no idea, guys. I'm telling you.
Capitan, do you think there is anyone down there knows us?
I hope not.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be sharp. Look at that. That is not wood. That's epoxy. Okay? It's making a nice edge. So I'm just basically stopping right back. I'm not doing the entire thing. I will, but see how good that works? It's amazing. Yeah, that's what I do. So A little bit of epoxy. We'll get all these streamers off. I don't think we have any. I was pretty careful for me on this boat. I'm not going to worry about in here. If the bottom's not perfect, guys, I just don't care. I mean, unless I flip it, which I probably will, you're not going to see the bottom. Make sure it's nice and smooth. But if you're doing shit right, you're riding up here. It doesn't matter what you got down here. It'll be all right. But yeah, I still need to put the epoxy in those. But that's what we're going to do. I'll get some of these lumps out and try and make it nice. But I'm not going to spend as much time on the bottom as I am the top. Now, do whatever you want. It's your boat. But for a boat that I'm probably going to run twice a year, I want it to look nice from a distance. You know? No, I'm just kidding. We'll make it look cool. So I'm going to go ahead and finish scraping this out, and we'll be right back. All right. So next up, I am not going to do a real great sand job on this until I get my putty in there. I mean, honestly, what's the point, right? So get your dust off. You just want to make it so you can get the putty in there. So we got to do all these holes right here. Do these seams. And I'll just use a wood block that I'll probably make or 3D print that I'll sand within there, or however you want to do it. You can do it by hand. I mean, it's your boat. Do whatever you want, however you want to sand it, however you can make it work. I usually putty nose seams, any seam that's on the top for sure. And we will seam this putty this as well. Putty does two things. Well, the putty I use does kind of three things. It does add strength, not a ton, but it also seals. Don't forget that it seals. So if you do have a gap, it will seal it, because the stuff I use is 2-part like fiberglass epoxy. So it's filler. It's not epoxy. It's not like finishing. You know, you can use. I've gone over this in videos before. You can use this stuff. Durham's. It's like 1,000 years old. 1 can of this should last you about 6 lifetimes. Or you can use what I use, which is this stuff. Quick grip filler. I love it. It's awesome. So what we're going to do is, I don't have any major gaps in this, so I'm actually probably going to thin this. What I'll do is I'll mix it normally, and then I'll use it for really fixing stuff, like if there's big gaps, like these holes here. I am going to sand this real quick down to make sure. I want these to go away. I don't like the way this looks, and I want this to go away. I don't like the way that looks. So we'll use normal putty on this side, and this side we're going to use what I call the cream. So what I do is I thin it out and cream it, and it works really, really well. So let's take... Now, let me go sand this real quick. Here we go. So I just basically took a little bit of 110 sandpaper and just sanded these down so everything's level. So some of these might be, they should all be a little bit perfect, actually. But if you can run if you can feel it with your finger, it's too fucking high or too low. Then that brings me to another point.
Who's that quarrelsome fella?
Google this or eBay it. This is what I use. It comes with activator. I get these emails all the time from Chinese companies, American companies, and even just people that watch my shit. And they say, you know, if you'd stop cussing, we'll send you free stuff to evaluate. Well, my opinion on that is, shit. Right there is if you can't handle who I am, I shouldn't be evaluating your product, I guess. But and if that's the case, then I'll just buy when I want to. Same thing happened when I used to do quads, drones. It used to annoy me. It's like, oh, well, you said the F-bomb. It's like, yeah, so? You think I'm the worst thing your kids are watching on YouTube? Seriously? But it really cracks me up when adults get all bent out of shape because I said fuck it or damn or whatever. I'm actually more reserved on my channel than I am probably in real life, but I don't know. I guess people must think I do this for money. I don't make 1 cent. And you know how I don't make 1 cent is because I use real music in my videos. And whenever you're editing and I put it up, it said no monetization. Don't pay me crap. I don't care. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't do it for free stuff. Now, boat guys, if you want to send me free stuff, don't get me wrong, I'm going to evaluate it. But I don't do it for that. I do it for friends. I've had friends that wanted to get into quads and they wanted to get into boats or whatever. It's like, if nobody cares, I won't do it anymore. That's the only reason. Because most of us have to figure all this stuff out on our own. If you're an adult and can't handle a curse word, well, my channel is probably the least of your problems in this world, be my guess. Kind of cracks me up a little bit. So, anyway, sorry, there's my rant. My rant is over. Okay, I put this stuff on reasonably thick. Thicker than you probably should or need to, but I don't like doing it twice. It's kind of like, if you're used to mudding drywall, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, I hate doing that twice. It just pisses me off. So I just put a fair amount. This stuff sands so nice. If it was a pain in the ass, I wouldn't use it, I promise you. I try to build fast, but efficient. Not fast just to build fast, but I don't want to sit here pissing around for 3 days with 2 parts waiting to work on. So I try to do stuff efficiently. And if you guys think it's good, great. And if you don't, you didn't buy a ticket, don't worry about it. All right. So now, I don't love the way these look. So I'm going to hand shape these back in. Once this stuff cures. It's the longest song on earth. This is American Pie. It's like, great song, don't get me wrong, but Jesus. I've written some long songs in my life too, but this sucker takes the cake. Alright. Now, it's up to you. If you want to do this seam here, you can. It's real easy to sand. You just take a 90 block. Singing, this will be the day that I die. Okay. Let's get it up to there. I don't really, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's the bottom. I say it's my buddy Don in Ohio. But it's the bottom, dude. I don't care. I don't know. As long as it's sealed, it floats. Happy days, right? Here's another good song is The Leader of the Band. About his old man making cabinets and shit, but he was supposed to be a musician. Pretty cool. Alright. Alright. That's it. So since I have really no real schmutz on the bottom itself, I think I will take and do these seams. Depends how anal you want to be about your paint job, I guess. We're going to let that cure up. Now, if you want to, you could put some putty right in here and form that, but I'm not going to get quite that anal. You could also put some putty right here and form those up, but I'm not going to worry about that either.
Of all the slammocky blackguards.
But if you want your boat to look nice, you should put some putty right here, and right here, and then shape and sand. Okay, so more often than not, I put down an old towel when I sand. That way nothing gets scraped up and screwed up worse after you've sanded. So I'm just going to flip this guy over because there's nothing on the bottom of the sponsons. And then I'm going to mix up some cream, and then we're going to do these holes. I'm going to do right along this edge, probably along this edge, here, okay? I'm going to mix them up. Be right back. So, do this again. Now this one I'm going to do what I call, it's not actually a thing. The reason I say creaming is like if you've ever done cement work in your life, when you use the pallets, you bring the cream to the surface. That's what this is. I like this to be a little bit smoother. Okay? So we just take a little bit of denatured alcohol. Okay. So which one do you guys like better, the original American Woman or Lenny Kravitz? Let me know in the comments. See if you're paying attention. All right. Put a little bit of schmutz on here. That's all we're going to use. I ordered some more silicone cups, and I was hoping they'd be here before this video was over. They're smaller, because this is kind of a pain in the ass size for epoxy. It's great for this. But to show you that women dominate the craft market, I think they're fucking heart-shaped. I don't care. Makes you unique, right? Okay. So you see how the texture, it's not really, it's thinner, but it's not like stupid thin. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. Now, if you want to use a putty knife or a card, that's fine. Be cognitive of where you're putting this stuff. If you're putting it in a place where you're going to have to hand sand it, don't lap on a ton. If you're putting it in a place where you're going to orbital sand it, lap on a ton. Save yourself a step. Okay? Because I do not like hand sanding at all. So I'm a little bit more careful in here. But this bit's getting an orbital. Okay? Now what I'll sometimes do with the putty is I'll really push it in to get the air out, and then just kind of make a little mountain on top. Okay? Easy peasy. Remember, everything you put on, you're taking off. So I'm going to put a little bit on that rail. Same thing there. Then we're going to put a little bit of schmutz along the sides. We're going to try using a brush. We're going to see how this works. All I want to do is fill up that gap a little bit. I got a pretty flash way of sanding this, so guys are like, oh my god, you anal builders out there. My boats usually look pretty good when they're done, so I'm not too worried about this. This is filler. This is body filler. So if there's a tiny gap, fill it up. And it looks bad in the camera maybe, but this is a fairly thin layer, and this stuff sands so nice. Take some 150 on a block, comes right off. So when I say add strength, we're not talking a shit ton of strength. Okay. I don't like that. You might have to do some parts twice. You might, it just depends. But I will tell you, when you're shooting paint on, even if you're using rattle can, guys, which I don't, I use automotive spray. Even with automotive, or even with spray can, rattle can, I should say, which there's nothing wrong with doing if that's all you can afford or all you know how to do. I hate it when people are like, can't believe you use rattle can. Well, you know what? Fuck you. It works just as well, and it does not matter what the hell you can use your kids' finger paints, but if you use the right clear coat, I'm talking gas and nitro here, use the right clear coat, nobody cares. It'll seal it, fuel-proof it, and fuck you and your expensive paint. I do use relatively expensive paint, but you don't have to. If you can make it look nice with a rattle can or up to your standards, by all means, kiddos, do it. People and opinions. Okay. I think that's it. I'm going to let that cook. Looks like shit, right? When we get her sanded, though, she's going to look good. Mixed up way too much. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about patching this and these old bits here. I don't care about that because the cowl is going to cover it anyway. And then I'm going to sand it. Now, however you want to sand this is up to you. I mean, it's all up to you, obviously, but I prefer to use a power sander where it's applicable. Where you have to be careful, you go by hand. So in here is probably going to be hand sanded. This is definitely going to be orbital. Most of the bottom is going to be orbital. And there's still some bits and bobs back here I probably could do. This is not the final sand. I will usually putty at least twice. I'll get all the big stuff done, and then I will go ahead and sand it down and see what she looks like. And if I need to do any nicks and bobs, then we do them. So now, until the next time, kids, keep dry side up.